In the charming town of Sturbridge, Massachusetts, a remarkable trail system has blossomed, weaving together nature, community, and a shared love for the great outdoors. From wide, accessible paths to narrow, rugged single tracks, the trails cater to hikers, runners, bikers, and nature enthusiasts of all abilities. Sturbridge is well known in New England for Old Sturbridge Village. In recent years, however, Sturbridge has emerged as an outdoor recreational gem. With almost 30 miles of trails, it's one of the biggest and most diverse in Massachusetts.
We have to have a discussion around that, what we're going to do about that.
If I speak for the town, I think safety and accessibility are what they care about, and
planning, building, and maintaining such a sprawling and ambitious trail system, however, is an immense amount of work and a true labor of love. This is the story of the Sturbridge Trails and the passionate committee behind them. The network of paths they've built, the dedication that drives them, and the impact their work has had on the community.
The trail system in Sturbridge is spread across currently 5 different properties, and following our Trails Master Plan, we have 5 different types of trails, starting from a rail trail to a very narrow single track rudimentary trail, much like you would experience on a remote section of the Appalachian Trail.
The Sturbridge Trails were engineered for people of all skill levels, with 5 distinct types of trails. The Grand Trunk Rail Trail is an 8 to 10 foot wide, hard surface gravel path, while the Trek Trails range from 6 to 8 feet wide, with a firm gravel surface. The single-track trails, ST1 to ST3, vary in width and ruggedness, offering a range of experiences from the accessible ST1 to the challenging ST3.
In between those 5 different levels, we try to provide some, if not all, of that kind of experience on all of our properties so that people can have some diversity of experiences on the different properties. We try to find the natural environment that gives people the broadest range of trail experiences so that hopefully everyone can find a little something they like.
Lead Mine is the largest property owned. It's an 800-acre piece. We've got 15 to 20 miles of trail already on the property, and we're hoping to finish most of that up in the next few years in terms of bridges and unmarked trails. And it's sort of the focal point of our trail system. From there, we have property called the Riverlands, and that's about a 50 to 80-acre property that we're actually doing flow trails on. So not only do we have ADA and handicap accessible trails, we're also doing mountain bike single track trails and hiking trails on that property. We've got Plimpton property on the north side of town, which is right next to Wells State Park. It's a beautiful property to walk. It's very wild, has a very wild feel to it compared to a lot of the other trail systems that are a little more organized and structured. And then Heinz Farm is actually connected to the other side of Lead Mine. So it's an old farm where the town purchased the land, and it's a great loop trails, and you're in open fields, and so it's a very different kind of habitat than what we see on the rest of our properties. And then Long Pond is just a big L around the pond that we own. It's a great wide trail to walk on. You can go up on a cliff over the pond and look down and have a beautiful scenic view of the town.
The Sturbridge Trail Committee, or STC, is the dedicated group of volunteers responsible for planning, building, maintaining, and promoting the trails.
This group of 10 residents has been meeting and working, evolving, developing, promoting, constructing, and maintaining a growing number of trails in the town of Sturbridge.
And then we'll find a place to put it, and you guys can take a little break, because that one looks heavy. Okay, set it down. Take a break, relax.
I'm on the Trails Committee in Sturbridge, and my position there is a voting member. We have monthly meetings and make big decisions about what kind of parcels we're going to try to acquire, and then we maintain them.
I grew up in the area and I moved back in about a year and a half ago, and Trails Committee was something I wanted to get involved in. So I'm excited to participate in everything they're doing these days. What I like about the group is everyone's bringing ideas to the table. Everyone's voice is heard when they're considering different projects and different options. And the guys on the committee have been at it for a long time. Incredible amount of experience and knowledge. And half of it for me is contributing and the other half is learning.
And then he said if we get 6 people, we have one more right here. If we get 6 guys, we can split up and half can go to Mount Laurel and half up there. So I guess we wait a few more minutes and see what happens.
I volunteer on the trails quite a lot. I enjoy the hands-on stuff, the actual building of the trails and the maintaining of the trails.
Over. Watch yourself and a splash. Perfect. That's exactly.
I very much enjoy talking to the people that use the trails. I kind of have a reputation for that on the Trails Committee.
And gloves, and we're gonna be carrying rocks, so you're gonna get your clothes ready.
I spend a lot of time volunteering for the Trails Committee because of how much the trails have given me and my family. And my life was changing. My boys needed me less. My children were busy doing their own things. So it opened up time for me to do things that I've always wanted to do, like volunteer with something that's important to me and has benefited us.
Wanting to give back to the town, wanting to be involved in the community. I think, we have so much property in town. I want to make sure that people realize the investments were worth it. It's sort of one of my personal drivers.
So the Trails Committee, they do the vast majority of maintenance on these trails. These are sustained by Sturbridge residents. I mean, our DPW steps in and helps when it can, if we have something major, but the reality is these are totally cared for by the people of this town and with great passion. And those trails won't be what they are without that Trails Committee.
The Community Preservation Act has been key in helping the town acquire and preserve open spaces for everyone to enjoy.
So the Community Preservation Act is enacted through state legislation, and money is allocated from there for very specific reasons. Open space is one of them, recreation, housing, historic preservation.
Sturbridge was one of the first communities that adopted that in 2001. Around 2006, we started acquiring a lot of open space, notably the Lead Mine Mountain area. It was one of the largest land transactions using community preservation funds in Massachusetts at that time. There weren't a lot of defined trails. There were a lot of old trails that were historic to the property when we acquired them. As time went on, we began to see the value of the trails, the interest in the trails, and so everything's just kind of moved on from there.
Acquiring the land was just the beginning. To make the most of this historic purchase, it took a dedicated community effort.
We have a fantastic volunteer group, and we have, trail days once a month from April to November, where we get lots of people out working on the trails and volunteering and building the trails.
If you look at the volunteer list, there's, at this point, probably 20 to 30 consistent volunteers who go out at least once a month working on different projects. And some once a week, some once a day. The commitment from the volunteers has been astounding, and going out and doing different projects on their own.
I think getting people to come out to the trails to volunteer their time is really important. We work really hard to get people to love our trails and to give back to our trails. And we do need a big crew of volunteers to do all of the jobs that we have.
The committee has big plans, hoping to make Sturbridge a top spot in the state for outdoor recreation.
We are really trying to push to a 50-mile trail number in town. If we can hit 50 miles, all the studies we've read have said that with 50 miles, you bring more unique visitors. People want to come ride flow trails, kayak. People come from Boston now to ride these trails. And so that is a project where I'm excited because it's something that's going to bring people in that want to ride bikes in this area, and you're bringing in people that will stay and have dinner, etc.
The trails have added a new dimension to the town, making life better for residents and bringing in tourists from all over.
Well, I think it's brought people to town, and it allows for a greater use for our tourism industry. We're known for Old Sturbridge Village. Everybody's known that. We all took a bus from school wherever we grew up and went to OSV. But Sturbridge is so much more than that. The trails allow for people who are visiting to have more to do when they come, and it makes us a bigger draw. So you could come and stay at the public house for a wedding and stay an extra overnight and go out on trails. What it's brought is a greater awareness of all that the town has to offer for people coming from outside, and it provides people who live here an absolutely wonderful option for things to do with their families.
We know that we're seeing, on average, 60 to 70,000 unique visitors on all combined properties, which is a lot. So you're thinking about the number of people that are going out. You're thinking about probably a third of those are from out of town. And so you have people, traveling to Sturbridge.
But the benefits have been much more than just financial. The trails are a place where people can go to clear their heads, get some exercise, and feel better overall.
It's not just about the physical aspect to it. It's about getting out in nature. It's about just getting away from everything, just unplugging, try to keep as much, the technology out of it as I can and just be in the woods. So for me, it's very good for just my mental well-being. It's really rewarding to be able to get out in the woods on a regular basis.
It changes your attitude. It improves your mood. It boosts your energy, just getting outside in the fresh air. It can get you more focused. I personally like to get outside in the mornings. I love my morning runs because it just sets my mind straight for the rest of the day.
I think there's so many benefits to being outside. I think that it's highlighted most for me in my life when I was a very young mother of a toddler and just having my second son. My older son and my younger son are both really high energy, and being indoors wasn't always working for them. So we really used the Sturbridge Trail systems as an extension of our living space, and they were at their best when we were outside. And it was just a really healthy environment for them to grow up in. Being outside was just great therapy for all of us.
The trail has really affected my physical and mental well-being because being in nature is just a special connection you have, and you just get to see everything, life around you, and it just kind of calms me.
What sets the Sturbridge Trails apart is the thoughtful planning and diverse range of experiences they offer.
I think what makes the trails here in Sturbridge so unique is that it's really kind of a whole community event. There's just so much interest and so much togetherness in working for this common goal. And I also think the one very unique thing about Sturbridge is we've actually invested in a recreational trails master plan, and we just followed that up with a sustainability trails plan. So I don't think you see that level of investment in other communities our size, certainly.
In about 2010, the town went and supported the funding of a recreational trails master plan for the town of Sturbridge. And as you can see, it's a good half-inch thick. Its focus most notably is on sustainable trail construction and universal access. So sustainable trail means that the trail itself is sustainable in the environment, and universal access goes to address the ability of a lot of people, if not everyone, to get out and enjoy the trails.
So being a wheelchair user, sometimes trails are difficult, but I feel like Sturbridge do a pretty good job of keeping it accessible. When it comes to trail accessibility, I think it's important that the people who are in charge of that is mindful of people with disability. and to accommodate all different people so it can be more inclusive and those people can enjoy the trail too.
An easily accessible trail system, I think, is very important to everyone because everyone can use that. You know, I see families out here with young children in their strollers. I can see people out here that are handicapped that can easily access the trails. There's all different levels of trails here. There's wide trails, flat trails, technical trails, trails my kids can climb and bounce on and you know, jump from rock to rock if they wanted to. So easily accessible trails just makes it easier for people to come out here and get outside.
The committee has ambitious future plans as well.
One of the biggest things we'll do in the next 5 years is put a bridge across the Quinnebog connecting the Riverlands to the commercial district in Sturbridge. That's going to be huge. You're going to be able to go in for a coffee and then go for a ride and then go back to the town for lunch.
What that does is that's now connecting our retail corridor to the trails. And a few of those small businesses are very pleased with that because now they're going to have that type of traffic coming, people coming off the trails and stopping at a coffee shop or having a bite to eat. And it connects the whole town that way.
Saturday and Sunday morning, you'll have a lot of people that will park out in the back part of the parking lot. And then they go on a short hike, which goes around like Sturbridge Village. And then, like I said, the other trails, so you can walk down the road a good way. So that foot traffic comes in quite a bit afterwards. So we do get a reasonable amount of traffic from anybody that's in that location to go hiking.
It's going to be a big year for us in terms of construction because there's so much we can do. It's a fine balance of not overextending yourselves, but keeping everything moving at a good pace.
It's clear that the trails of Sturbridge are not just pathways through the woods, but a network that strengthens the community and nurtures the environment.
Getting away from the daily hustle and bustle of everything else going on in one's life, enjoying the smell, the sights, the sounds. It's just very calming, very relaxing. And so that's why I really like and enjoy being out on the trails.